Welcome to Metal Wani. With us today we have one and only Marty Friedman. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I am doing good. How's the tour going along? I mean, the audience must be loving the band with let's say Jordan and Kiyoshi and Charge as well.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's like an extension of the September tour. It just keeps getting better and better.
Awesome. And you regard live acts as a performance as it is in Japan as well. I mean, it would be apt if let's say you could throw light on how important it is for a band to be performing act. Even if let's say your music is exceptionally good to make a solid impact.
To us, when you're playing live, that's really the only thing that matters. And sometimes you have to arrange the music differently and throw in a lot of surprises and do a lot of special things to make it more fun than just listening to a CD. And that's, I think, the main thing that I like about this band is we've changed everything so much that we've basically taken what we all think is the coolest parts of the music
Right.
and arranged it in such a way that people who, you know, have never heard my music before can get it right away. Some of my music is very long and very intense, and it's got a lot going on, and sometimes that can be overkill. So what we do is we take the things that work in a live atmosphere, and we just use all that. And I think it's been a really wonderful process ever since I started doing tours with my solo band, and it keeps getting better and better. And it's a fun thing to do because you have freedom to change things, and
Yes.
you don't have to do the whole entire song. You don't have to do the whole entire album. You can do parts of this and parts of that, and people get excited.
Absolutely. I mean, right from 48 teenagers singing to your guitar, for a panda's theme to ballads, or be it the orchestra, the Fanta commercials, heavy metal, TV. I mean, it's pretty much obvious to me that you like doing things very differently. But how does it affect you musically or your playing?
Well, I mean, I play completely different live than I do in the studio, and it's really hard to understand unless you come to the show. It's really I play so incredibly aggressive. I mean, I really uh, didn't really know this about myself until I started playing my own solo music live in
Hmm.
2007. Um, Originally, when I started doing solo albums, they weren't really intended to be played
Live.
live. They were just
Hmm.
kind of um, an addition to whatever else I was doing at the time. But when I started playing it live, it's like, wow, I'm really beating the crap out of these guitars and hitting them so hard, and it's like it's very much a punk attitude. But I go through a lot of instruments that way because I beat the crap out of them, and it just allows me to express a completely different emotion than what I'm expressing when I'm sitting down recording or playing in a completely vocal context. It's really it's so much fun and it's so aggressive.
Awesome and good to hear that. I mean, in fact, Mari, what's the general scene like there in Japan? How responsive are people to various kind of music, and are they quite supportive of the metal music there?
In Japan, there are so many different kinds of music, and the lines of the genres are not so narrowly spread out. I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of attention overseas to a group like Babymetal, which is
Yeah.
a complete fusion of completely different worlds of music. I mean, the metal sound of that is, you can't deny that it sounds like real metal,
Hmm.
but when you hear the singing and the topics of the songs, that's not stuff that you would typically associate with metal.
Right.
So what I'm getting at is there's a lot of mixing going on, and there's no rules
Hmm.
over in Japan, and that's something that I liked before I even moved to Japan. It's something that I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to be in a place where you could feel free to go outside the borderlines of a genre and not worry about, not being pure or anything like that. I think one thing about my musicality is I like to inject metal into places where it doesn't necessarily normally go. It's kind
Go.
of like a
Hmm.
germ, kind of like to infect people with metal when they don't expect it, and that's why
Right.
in Japan, people are relatively open to that much more than in America, where metal is just metal, and that's cool. But why can't metal be in pop music? Why can't metal be in dance music? Why can't metal be in electronic music or soundtrack music? It doesn't have to be such a slim genre. So I've always appreciated that about Japan, and I think that whole spirit is kind of transferring to America a little bit more now, so I'm happy about that.
That's one major reason why, in a band like Babymetal has got a great recognition, not just because of the how the appearance of the band is, but also the music, the various influences they are fusing in together.
Well, the thing about Babymetal is they have a very great basis of sense of humor in what they're doing as well. A lot of what they do is like an homage to great heavy metal bands, and they're having fun doing it, and they're doing it at the top of their game. I mean, if you just take the metal sound of that and the metal, the instrumentation and the arrangements, it's really, really brutal metal. I mean, it's not a joke. It's not a joke at all, but like there's a lot of very joking spirit within the whole thing. True. And I think that translates really well to people of all different cultures.
Absolutely right. Now, Marty, I mean, you put out Inferno in 2014, and which was got excellent response even out of Japan as well. So for you, was your goal basically to establish an album to basically put out all your overall influences from Japan, or was it just to go all out on the album?
Yeah, Inferno really doesn't have much to do with my Japanese influence. It has more to do with it was my first opportunity to do a simultaneous worldwide release. Mm-hmm. I've been doing so much stuff in Japan for the last several years that people think that there are some people around the world who think, well, he's just went to Japan and he doesn't care about the rest of the world anymore, and that's not true. I've just never really had the platform or the proper offer, the proper record label support to do something that would take me around the whole world until Inferno. And then when that came about, I had to decide what do I want to do to present myself to the whole world again after all these years.
True.
And I was real honest with myself. I think people wanted to hear me play my ass off. They wanted it to be aggressive, and they wanted to be the type of exotic thing that you would expect from me, but that's okay. But on top of that, I had to do something that was going to impress myself, and it had to be new, it had to be fresh, it had to be exciting. It couldn't be nostalgic, it couldn't be a throwback or a look back to the past. It had to be new and fresh, and at the same time I'm just brutally playing my ass off. So what could I do that fits all of that criteria? And that's what Inferno was.
Absolutely. And Marty, I've seen a lot of extremely talented musicians quit. Obviously, even you are aware of that as well, given the fact that survival is harsh in terms of, let's say, the finances in this field, or be it with a family or wives, etc. But you've been very focused on your music since the Deuce days. I mean, when you were about 16, and you have never looked back since then. What advice would you give to musicians out there looking to survive on music they make?
Well, this is a very important, very good question, and I think I might have an answer. Mm-hmm. You have to ask yourself, if you're a musician, say, for example, a guitarist, you say, what is it I want to do? And a lot of guys will say, I just want to become a better guitarist.
Yeah.
If that's what you're saying, then you're kind of setting yourself up, not for failure, but you're setting yourself up for not being able to do what you just said that I did.
Yeah.
Now, the good answer to that question is, what is it you want to do? The thing that you want to do is, I want to be able to create music that I love more, that impresses me, that makes me more happy with what I'm doing. That's a much better answer.
Right.
Because if you just say, I want to be a better guitarist or a better bassist or whatever, then you're losing the artist aspect of what it is you're doing, and you're forwarding the musician and player aspect, which is nothing wrong with that. But if you're in the world of music, because you have your music and you have something to say and you want to be an artist, you can't just say, well, I want to be a better guitarist or a better drummer or whatever, because then you're just setting yourself up to be either a teacher or a hired hand, or
Right.
well, there's nothing wrong with that, but what I'm telling you is why the reason I'm still doing this and the reason I'm still challenging myself is it's not because I want to be a better guitarist, which of course I do, but it's because I want to keep creating things that impress myself and blow me away, that I
Right.
love more. So it's a very fine line between those two things, but if you keep trying to do things that make you enjoy your own music more, then you're on the path to a longer longevity as an artist, whether you're succeeding or whether you're not making money or whether you are making money or whatever you're doing. As an artist, that has to be the goal, not just being a better player.